Prize Picks is the most fun I've had playing daily fantasy sports this past season, and they make it super easy to play. All you got to do is pick two to three players or more, select if they're going to make more or less on their stats, and boom, you are in the game. 60 seconds or less, and they're going to hook you up. You can sign up with our promo code you see on the screen, Unfair. Use that promo code, and they'll give you $50 bonus after your first $5 lineup. For example, here, I'm looking at Thursday Night Football, Russell Wilson, more or less with 182.5 yards. You've got Jameis Winston here with, 216 and a half passing yards. You can pick more or less on that. I'm looking at that one. I'm also looking at, George Pickens, 57 and a half receiving yards. We'll go more on that, even though we think Russell Wilson will go less than 182 and a half, and you can jump into the game as well. They got all kinds of promotions and stuff, Taco Tuesday, and they got some great promos for like on Fridays. You can definitely check them out, but they're going to hook you up. So check them out. Go to prizepicks.com, use our code UNFAIR to receive $50 guaranteed once you play your first $5 lineup. Again, just use our code UNFAIR at prizepicks.com. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports. Yep, it's been a bit, but guess what? We're back, baby. So let's dive into it here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. Thank y'all for pulling up. That is Coop. I am Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to while you're here. Please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Give us 5 anyway. And gift it. So, on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, since we took a little bit of a bye-week hiatus, we're going to dive right into the injury report. I've got it pulled up, and we're going to talk about who's going to play and who ain't. We're also going to talk about this OC search because I feel like things are really heating up. We'll also take your questions as we prepare for Bama and, all the Bama week. I'm hoping that things turn out better than expected. Coop, now the bye week's over, man. How you doing? How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. I can say this. Here in a couple weeks, we're going to, as painful as this has been, we're going to miss it. And then we're going to go into a solid, what would you say, Jay? 9 to 10 months of
Pain.
Wondering what this is going to look like. And we really won't know until October this really is going to look like until next year. So, yeah.
That's an extremely fair point. And for me, I'm going to be honest. I'm excited about putting all the hype out there, right? I'm excited to put out that hopium out there and piss off a lot of you fans. Like, y'all going to be just mad. I'm going to be, I'm hyping it all up.
I'm not, if Jesus came to me and told me that somebody was looking good in spring and fall camp next year, I'm going to be skeptical.
I am not mad at your assessment of that. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do it.
You know what? Fool me once with G Freaky. I will let you have that one. But I got God again, so it's okay. It's humbled a lot of us fans just around the nation and kind of be excited. We got one thing right. It'd be one thing if we couldn't stop a nosebleed. But the defense has
that would be depressing. Yes.
Yeah, it's you got to think about this. We're gonna say bye one farewell moment, and this one will mean the most to me as far as saying bye to a senior. I think out of any senior, and that's saying bye to Danny. And he's got a legacy that's just amazing. And I promise you, that defense is going to play like absolute monsters on Saturday just to play for him. So they're not going to give up as long as he's out there.
Yeah, being at senior night, not only you've got Danny, you've got Billy, Woody. You got a long list of seniors that you're not going to be able to see. Tarquin won't be back. Spencer Brown won't be back. you got a good list of seniors that are going to be done, and it's going to be sad to think about the fact that we won't have them anymore. It sucks, and especially the fact that this year we feel like we wasted it because we kind of did.
But let's go silver lining.
Yeah, silver lining.
How many of us thought that this defense would ever be here again? You hoped. Again, we say it all the time. Jay, there were times that were like, if we could just hold the team to 30, if we could just get there. Now, even when we're giving up 30 over, in the games, it's usually because of an offensive scoop and score or pick six or something like that. This defense, it's made us believe that, you know what, BV knows what he's doing on that side of the ball. And I think we've got the people in place for that. And so, listen, if anything, we saw a defense through, no matter what happens these next two games, we saw a defense that could have pretty much mailed it in second quarter Tennessee. They never did.
Yeah, we probably really could have. We could have easily mailed it in, but we didn't. And I can tell that these players are going to play hard for us in this Bama game. But let's dive into it. Thank y'all for pulling up this late on a Wednesday night. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring the live stream. So, Coop, let's take a look at this injury report. Let's dive into that, because I think when we look at the injury report that came down, the first availability report dropped at 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to go look at this. So, for the uninitiated, the SEC requires that teams put out their availability report every single day, starting on Wednesday. You can update it up until I think 9:30 or 10 o'clock Saturday morning. And usually everyone puts it out in the evenings around 7 o'clock each night up until Saturday. And the first one always comes out on Wednesday. And so I had to put PG in timeout for his random questions. I decided that he deserves to be in timeout.
This ain't Sooner Surge, buddy.
Yeah, we're not doing the trolling thing here now. Let's be for real when we come through and hang out with the peoples here. But he's in timeout for the next couple of minutes. He'll be back later. We've got, as expected, at wide receiver, Jaden Gibson, Nick Anderson, Andrew Anthony. They're out. Gentry and Kendall Doby's, of course, out. Gary Hatchett, Jacob Sexton, Jake Taylor's out. But Burks is at doubtful. I thought he'd been out, but he's at doubtful. So we'll see what that looks like. Barnes is now questionable. So is Joshua Bates on offensive line is questionable. No, Steven. Spencer Brown has no eligibility. I mentioned that as he's a senior. But let me ask you this, Coop. Who on this from the offensive line jumped out to you that's not on here?
Oh, yeah. You don't see Mr. Tarquin on there, which makes me extremely happy. I know that his pops is really excited to see him get out there. This guy's been the most consistent offensive lineman on the team, the entire year. And this was a guy that, a lot of people wondered, could he get back to that Florida level? I think this is pretty much what he was. I think that he still has a lot in the tank. I still think he can get better. So I'm excited to see that he's not even on there, because no shenanigans. We don't have to worry about doubtful, probable, divisible, alphabetical, whatever designation was on there. If you're on there, I have my doubts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the good thing is we don't see Tarkin on there. So that means he's going to be at your right tackle. Your left side's going to be held up with Howland as well as Ozaida. For Bichiwe, we will be playing with Tarquin, which I think will make it even better. And then Troy Everett. And yes, you're right. I think Tarquin's been the best performer. I think that Weiwu, he's been the most consistent. He's the only one that's played like every game this season. He's only come out, I think, a couple of times for like helmet related stuff or, sub because of, the games going out of hand. But he has been here pretty consistently as well, which that puts a smile on my face. I'm happy about that. We need some offensive continuity in some capacity. We need some Um, people just out there playing something we
Yeah.
ain't seen.
And we have what's this is crazy to say this out loud. It's just crazy just with how we see things. Is the silver lining on this game is the fact that Oklahoma had, started showing some stuff in the running game. And, against Ole Miss early, they couldn't hold up in the pass protection. That was what it was. But you're going to see, the best defensive lines that we're going to see all season we've seen. As far as like I think it was at the top 15 defensive efficiency teams or something like that. And, the lowest ones that we play were LSU and Bama. And so you get some guys back who are going to be able to, work together, this week and, get some time together. I think that Tarquin, like we said, being the best option, at the offensive line, probably the best lineman out there right now. Get Javonte Barnes hopefully back. We saw some with X-Rob. I think that, if we can put together something that looks like a decent running game, you give yourself a chance because it keeps Jalen Milroe on the sideline. You build up some of that confidence. It lets your defense have a rest because there's going to be 2 or 3 guys chasing Jalen Milroe all over the field and spying on him and paying attention to him. So if you can get this offensive line to just show something that looks, like we saw early against Ole Miss, that you're going to have some success there.
Yeah, it's I'm wondering well, so basically what you're saying is go with the Vanderbilt strategy. Try to get a time of possession of 42 minutes and try to win the game that way.
I mean,
which is fair. The best defense for Alabama is to keep Milroe and them off the field.
Here's what I want to see, Jay, is don't hurt yourself and see what happens. Don't hurt yourself and see what happens. Like, do I think Oklahoma's going to win this game? I do not. I don't. And again, there's a lot of other stuff that would have to happen. This injury report would have to look a little bit different. But at this point, was it Herm Edwards? They are who we thought they were. At this point, Oklahoma has shown us who they are. We've got some capability on offense, and if you put some capability down and you have the good environment the last time that you're playing at home, the fans are probably going to show up, and just because it is Alabama. So you get the opportunity to go out there and put something together. And I just think that there's an opportunity there if you do that and you just keep that ball in your possession, or just give the defense a break and make sure that the defense doesn't feel like from the get-go that they either have to score 28 on defense or we're going to lose. Make them feel like there's a chance of complimentary football happening.
I just want to slow down them as much as possible. That would make me happy 100%. Is that if we were to slow Alabama down, if we played this game similar to the way that we played the Tennessee game, I'd be happy.
Yeah, and
that would satisfy me. And just don't, if you do cause turnovers, don't get the ball right back.
Just without the damning turnovers.
If you get a turnover, please keep the ball. That would actually make me happy. Because I don't think we have a chance to win this game just because of how bad the offense is played. But if we do go out there and make it at least competitive, I'm satisfied. I'm looking towards next year anyway. I've said that numerous times. I mean, everybody's in the comment section being, with all their pejoratives. Yes, we know the team sucks. I mean,
we're not trying to show you. This is the thing: is this late in the season, you got some pride on the line. I think.
Exactly. We're playing for pride.
Here's 2 things: and don't think that Alabama is going to dial it down once they get up big. Nobody has actually taken Oklahoma, just taken it to town on offense. Everybody has dominated our defense. That's outside of Auburn. I don't know how we still pulled that one off, but glad we did. But nobody has really just bullied our defense. And if Alabama, wants to do some style points,
I'd say Texas did.
well, I mean,
Yeah, they did. Texas
they beat the
Sucks to
defense.
say.
Yes.
They did.
I don't think that they total ran the defense. But regardless, Alabama has some style points. So it would look good for them if they came in and just Milroe just went crazy. Gave them some Heisman conversation to talk about, because it doesn't matter what the record looks like if that highlight film, has him, juking out somebody with an OU jersey on. It's going to look better for the highlights. And it just is, because it's Oklahoma, and we've seen Alabama highlights versus like Arkansas in the past, and we're like, oh crap, that's oh no, it's not our defense, thank God. But I think that Alabama is going to want to do a bunch of stuff, and if that's the game plan, is to go and to score and make this look really, really bad, and you make them be patient, you make them earn stuff, the team can get frustrated, and then if we get out here with maybe a 10-point loss. That's kind of what your hope is it's not embarrassing.
Yeah, the goal is to try to cover the spread. You cover the spread, yeah. That's what you're trying to go after. If you can get the spread to be covered, I think that changes things. It makes you feel better about how the team can perform when they really need to perform. That's where I'm at.
It's what kind of pride do you have? I mean, is it a deal to where you continue to see the regression, or is it? Do you really focus on the coaching? Because I've heard Gabe say it over and over and over again. And Jay, just apologize for pausing and switching like this, but man, just shout out to Gabe Eichert and his family. They just went through a really, really tough spot with losing their child. And man, if you listen to the Oklahoma Breakdown on Sunday, and you're a father, or you have a heart. It was a tough listen, because I mean he said, I'm not afraid to cry, and he broke down pretty hard. And but man, heart goes out to them, prayers go out to them. I've reached out, I've experienced that stuff too in my past, and it's just rough. But but he says a lot that he sees people out there doing stuff that he knows that Beadmo didn't coach them to do. So trust in the coaching, trust in what you've been taught, trust in the fact that the guy knows what he's talking about. Yep. And you know what? If you are great in technique and you just get beat, tip your cap. That's why there's more than one play in the sport. You get to line up and start over again. But again, if you get beat because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, or you get impatient with your feet, that's the stuff that I want to see improvement on.
That's what I want to see. I want to see improvement in effort. I also want to see us go a little bit deeper into the depth chart. Get some of the younger guys out there, mix with some of the veterans, and get them to understand getting in the right spots, because that's going to be what's critical in this game. It's going to be critical for us to be able to just stay competitive. Is that if you're not in the right spot, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, that's where you're going to run into a lot of the problems in this game, and it's going to get out of hand quickly. You don't want it to get out of hand quickly. You know what would really make me smile in this game, Coop? I've already told you the end result I want. But if we play this first half like we did against Ole Miss, that will be perfect. Yeah. That is the perfect way for us to play. If we play this game the way that we played against Ole Miss. Because in that game against Ole Miss, we played that the best way we could have played in this entire season. That was the one time we didn't have a bunch of turnovers to screw us up. We didn't have a bunch of mess going on. The offensive line was getting stabilized. And we hustled and played hard in the first half. You go up 14-13 at halftime, who's complaining? Right?
Yeah.
You do everything you're supposed to do. Then you get an injury in the second half, and then you just forget how to play football. Now, granted, that's probably what DeBoer is going to do. They're going to draw up short plays the entire time, get Ryan Williams the ball in space. They're going to try to get Jeremy Bernard the ball in space. Same thing with Law. They're going to try to find a way to get those guys the ball in space. They may not even try to go deep. they may just try to just keep dinking and dunking and then letting Jalen Milroe try to run all over us. We need to get a good hit on them, slow them down. But that score, if we can get a halftime score similar to, if it's 14-13, them. If it's 14-10, them. If it's close at the half, not a single person's going to complain.
No. And I mean, it's you want to go in and, again, just don't embarrass yourself.
Yes.
You know, don't. Some of these things are simple. Like I said, Alabama is not the strongest defensive line. They're not the best. We have played pretty much every team that is better than them. We have played already.
Yes.
And so I'll say this is if you get out there and you get some running going on, and you take the air out of the ball and you show your offense that there's a chance there. Like Bama thinks that they can just run in here and just do what they're going to do. And every single head coach if I was coaching against Oklahoma right now, I would say, hey, we're just going to work on some offensive stuff. Stuff doesn't go right. We just keep on going, man. We just keep on cruising, keep on trying, keep on running our stuff, and just test that. You know what? I know that our offense being not very good is still going to be better than their offense. And
Agreed.
And unfortunately, the inverse with the Lincoln Riley years is you had the facade of winning when you were scoring points, when we knew that if they get the ball at the end of the game, we're done. It's not going to work. And it's harder this way just because, if you give up a touchdown, it's almost damning at that point because you're just like, well, crap. And if you get down 10 points, you know that it's pretty much game over. Whereas if, under Lincoln Riley, if we were up by 14, a lot of people have already forgotten that you still feel like we need to be up higher. We need more. We need to keep on cruising because we're gonna stumble 2 times and they're gonna score both of theirs. So I mean, it's just a little bit more difficult right now to watch this type of a team because again, we can't make that scoreboard change very often.
That's true. So with that, we got to talk about all of the fun that we've been getting from the speculation out there for OC. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about our partners over at Prize Picks, who is sponsoring the channel. They're hooking y'all up. Best part about Prize Picks, it's available in Oklahoma, so you can easily play. It's most fun I've had playing some fantasy sports. And like right now, we're talking about this Bama game. Right now, they got Jalen Milroe at 214.5 passing yards. You can do more or less. Same thing with Ryan Williams at 53.5 receiving yards. I'm hoping that it goes under. So out of the 2 or more, I'm going to pick for my lineup. If you bet $5, they're going to give you $50 in guaranteed bonuses. You don't even have to win. So if you want to take over and you hopefully lose, you can get that bonus no matter what. So check it out. Go to prizepicks.com, put in the promo code UNFAIR, and you will get a $50 guaranteed bonus on your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports, made easy. So, Coop, offensive coordinator has been the conversation topic, right? Yeah. I've seen tweets, X posts, and everything on like 5 different coaches. I'm going to let you go ahead and say it. Who do you think it's going to be?
I mean, literally, if they make that decision, if the decision is made tonight, I think it's Arbuckle. If it's made tonight, I've heard a lot of stuff. Guys, here's the thing: is if you listen to one person and they're saying it was Dan Mullen and it was locked up and it dang near was. Dan Mullen is playing with house money. He doesn't have to go back to coaching. He can ask for the world if he just, and so with that situation, like I'm kind of happy that we didn't go the Dan Mullen route. I just feel like where there would be positives with his head coaching experience and stuff like that. I just think that, again, he's an alpha, and I think that there would be some situations between him and the rest of the staff. Yeah. So I do know that Craddock was kind of out, and now he's back in, the Godfather. Every time I get out, they keep pulling me back in.
Yep.
I think that maybe it was Gabe and Teddy said it. Maybe it was the Scoop guys. I can't remember. But you know, the bar's really stinking low, really low. Lemon, listen, I don't know if I would be doing anything worse, but that bar's low. Kind of goes along with what I'm saying here. Is extremely low. You get to come in here, and guys, we don't need a 2018 Lincoln Riley offense. We don't need that. We need an offense that is not embarrassing. You need an offense that has a game plan, that has an identity. What, when you get into a spot where you're like, all right, we got to have this. You want to be able to know what your bread and butter is. We used to have the GC counter. Just a bread and butter running play.
Yes.
You had lots of routes. You had a lot of the go routes with D.D. Westbrook and with Hollywood. We had the mix and P Ryan. Like there was always an identity. So we just need somebody
which is running the ball. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
And so I think as of right now, if it closed down, it would be Arbuckle right now. I think that Craddock is back in at play. Heard a couple of other names that I kind of want to have more. I want to have more folks. But I think that you're going to need. I mean, you're going to need quite a few in the portal too. So I think that this thing needs to be done before we do our show next week. I mean, I really think this needs to be done in the next 7 days.
So I'm glad you said that. Lance asked the question, is it possible NFL, OC, OU can look at? Absolutely not. We don't have that kind of time. The transfer portal. So Brent Venables kind of opened up with this, and this is, I think, the thing that a lot of people need to understand as to why Coop is saying we've got 7 days to do it. This is why. Transfer portal opens 2 days after National Signing Day, which is the week of Conference Championship, which is 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from this Wednesday is when early signing day hits. Then the portal hits right after Conference Championship weekend. But this is where your problem lies. You can't get an NFL coach because unless they get fired before the end of the season, they're not going to be available, and the portal will be closed by the time they come in. You don't want to do all your work in the portal before your OC's there. You want to have your OC available. That's one. Two, Brent Venables mentioned this in his press conference. And actually, every coach in college football has been calling this out over the last few days, if you don't realize it. They've been all calling this out. The roster limit will be 105 going into next season, which means just about every single one of these teams got about roughly 50 kids they're going to have to tell bye-bye.
Yeah.
So what that means is you're going to see a bunch of players gone, and you're going to see a small amount of players come back. You're going to have to start cleaning rosters, which in a way creates a level of parity because some players that would stick around for development's sake would have to go because there's no spot for them. You'll also be able to, the SEC has stated that scholarships will stay at 85. Roster limit will be 105 for now. Now, we'll have to wait until the final settlement hits in April of 2025 with House versus the NCAA. Once they figure out that final settlement of what that should be, then we'll know what everything looks like in 2026 going forward. But 2025, 105 players on your roster, 85 on scholarship. So you'll have 20 PWOs, but it ain't going to be like the 120 to 130 that you have been seeing, the gray shirts that you're used to seeing at like Bama and Georgia and stuff. That's gone. Those days are over. No more. So that's where the stress comes in. You bring in your OC. I think Craddock is pretty a solid option. See some people mention about him. He wanting to bring in his guy. He is the guy he wants to bring in is his co-OC, who is also one of the two offensive line coaches they have. They don't have a tight end coach there at Tulane. McKissack is the offensive line coach, and they also have another offensive line coach who's been in the game 30-something years, 38 years if I'm correct. So I'm thinking he's the actual offensive line coach, and McKissick is working with him. If you don't plan on bringing Joe John Finley back as co-OC, he's probably going to be moving on. You could potentially have yourself a new tight end coach there. But I don't know. Yeah. We don't know what that looks like yet. He's an option. But yeah, NFL's not. To me, I'm with Coop. With all of the smoke going around, it sounds like it's Arbuckle if it was today. But I don't think they sign anybody before the Bama game. I think the job is announced after the Bama game, and I think someone's hired by then. That's my take on it. It would be that at that point. Now, granted, the one thing you want is, I know a lot of people have been talking about like Brendan Marion. They want that go-go offense and stuff. Do you want another offense like Levy's where the defense is on the field all the time because you spin out with 3 and outs? Because you're playing against the SEC. Remember, they're going to figure a lot of that stuff out quickly. Doesn't take long for them to start to adjust. That's the problem you run into. I think it possibly could, but I don't know how long Brendan Marion would be here at Oklahoma if he would. But at the same time, I also don't think that any offensive coordinator we hire is going to be here longer than 2 years. If they do a really good job, they're going to get an opportunity to head coach. And there should be at least 2 ACC jobs, 2 Big 12 jobs, probably 1 or 2 SEC jobs, and probably 1 or 2 Big 10 jobs available within the next 2 years, and in 2 years. Because that's when a lot of people's contracts are getting to their 3rd and 4th year, and you'll probably see coaches lose their job. So because of that, whoever comes in, if they're successful, they're going to get a head coaching job. If they're not, everybody's getting fired anyway. So, 2 years. Keep that in mind when you think of a coach. 2 years is all you're going to get out of them, no matter what, good or bad. 2 years.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, because it's just look at the track record of the offensive coordinators that have been here, outside of Mr. Luttrell. But I mean, you can't really point towards somebody who didn't have an arrow pointing straight up. I mean, even our frustrations with Levy, dude's an SEC head coach. You look at Heupel, he's where he's at. So I mean, you've got a lot of conversations that need to start happening with some of the kids that are in the portal, or there's feelers already going out there. That there are. We had our crop of people who did the announcement of their red shirt for the rest of the year and enter the transfer portal midseason. I don't think that many of those conversations are probably happening with our staff. And I'm kind of okay with that one. I just don't know about dudes dropping out in the middle of the year, no matter what. You can do it silently, support the team, but that's my soapbox. So I mean, you want to make sure that, like, hey, listen, you either got a name that you can start having the conversations about, and if it leaks, it leaks. But you want to be able to start telling some of these guys, because you're going to need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Unless somebody comes with the OC, you're going to need offensive linemen. Because if everything stays intact, which we can talk about that if you want, but I don't feel any pending panic or anything on the offensive line recruits and the wide receivers. But if that group stays intact, you can't turn around and depend on 3 offensive freshmen on offensive linemen that are freshmen. You can't depend on 2 or 3 different wide receivers that are freshmen. I mean, you're going to have to go get offensive linemen. You're going to have to go get wide receivers. Sure as hell need some tight end action. So, I mean, you're going to see the amount of focus on the offense that we saw the defense the past couple of years, but you still need to go after some defenders too.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot of everything. That's the only thing. You're going to need a lot of everything. So we got a lot of stuff that we're going to keep our eyes on and hope that we can get our hands on in order to get, successful long term. You're going to need to add to your O-line. I think that the young guys who are playing now will probably be the ones you ride with next year. Healthy, they'll be good. I think healthy, they'll be good. Everett's going to be back. You'll have Ozida. You'll also have Logan Howland back. Both Jakes, I'm anticipating both of them being back, and at that point, they'll be healthy. They can play. Hatchett has another year. He can come back if he wants. Question is, will we bring him back? Of course, Waywu's going to be out there, but then you'll have EPL. You also have Isaiah Autry-Dent. You're also going to get some BJ Brooks. So the experience component, the line looks a heck of a lot better a year later with continuity in comparison to this year. Not concerned. Wide receiver, the question is, how healthy are we going to be? That is where high key terrified because I don't know what the heck we look like
Yeah,
health wise with that. But
it's hard. I mean, like you look at Tennessee and saying like, "Hey, we're going to depend on Brew McCoy this year." No Tennessee fan really truly believed that that was something that you could do and get away with. Now, I think that he's been solid, but you can't do that. It's hard to do that for like one of your main three guys. We would be trying to do that with our main three guys, and that's if nobody goes anywhere. That's if nobody leaves, because there's a lot of speculation around a couple guys just not happy with the medical processes, and that considering it. And so I think that you do need to bring in probably 2 or 3 wide receivers. I'd like to see a wide receiver come in who maybe is kind of like what Texas did with the Golden kid. Bring somebody in who that he's a good route runner. He is precision. Maybe he's not huge. Maybe he's not massive. Maybe he's not a 4-3 guy. Bring somebody in like that has some punt return capabilities, because I think that I'd like to see that get a lot better next year. Whether that guy's on the team right now, but punt returns have just been, I mean, meh. The definition of meh this year, and that's when it's not been hard to catch the ball, or that's when it's not been muffed. How many punts have we mishandled?
I don't
8.
even want to talk about how bad that's been. That's just been awful. But at the same time, hopefully we fix that component of it. Mike asks, Sooner Legends, what's going on, man? Chances against Bama? Slim. We keep it close. I'm happy. I just don't want to get blown out.
Enter Jim Carrey meme. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, I mean, listen, I almost did not watch the Sugar Bowl when we played Bama, and because I thought we were going to get absolutely just demolished. And my buddy Keith, who came to the games with us a couple times, he made fun of me. He still makes fun of me for a long time because he's like, "You did not believe," and I did not believe we were going to win that game. I feel worse about this game than I did about that game, because it's not like Trevor Knight. I mean, Trevor Knight had an out-of-body experience. I mean, if Jackson has an out-of-body experience and he just does something we haven't seen all season long, then yeah, we can beat Bama. But nothing shows me that we have that in the wagon.
Yeah, honestly, we're due a game where we show up. Honestly, it was funny. We joke about this, man. Hey, I think that LSU game is winnable. Very. They've lost 3 games in a row. They look like they've quit. And we know how much people do not like Brian Kelly.
Listen, and that guy is going to be on the scope the next couple weeks.
Oh,
with him getting in that guy's face, and what did he say? Like, don't walk away from me. You're uncoachable.
Yeah,
you're a disgrace or something like that. Like, there's a lot of people who already were, it's our guy. I don't care about the corny accent. But now it's LSU. It's still LSU. Like, they had lower expectations, but they started doing some stuff, and that fan base all of a sudden thought that they were going to, win 10 or 11 games. And now you're seeing what you see out of a lot of Brian Kelly stuff is late in the season stuff kind of doesn't hold up very well. I thought that by the time we played them, with everything, take away everything that's happened to this team, I thought that we were either going to be playing a defense that was coming together and starting to gel, young defense, new coaching staff, or they were going to be worn out because they were all young. And everything's kind of falling apart right now.
Badly. It's falling apart badly there. And I think that's what it is. What's going on, Coach Dan? Schools are trying to keep their top guys. We get more top G5 guys in the portal, I believe, than top P4 guys, because teams are to protect their house. I disagree, 100%. The portal window is smaller. They've cut those down. They've cut the portal window to only 45. I don't think it's 45 days total anymore. I think it's less than that. But I know that all of December is going to be all portal days. Basically, the month of December is for the portal, and then you'll get like a small window in the spring, because they've cut it down. I actually think it's 15 days. I think if I'm correct, it's 15.
14 or 15 days, yeah.
It's 15 at both the spring and the winter. And they did that on purpose. That was the vote by the NCAA to try to get that bad boy small. So I think you're going to see a lot of dudes hit the portal that don't believe they're going to be able to play at whatever school they're at that could even be playing for a natty. If they don't think that they're going to be able to play next year, they're going to try to get out so they can get ready for the spring at their new schools. So I expect it to be a busier one this time around than it was last year. And that's just because it's a small 2-week window. On top of that, if any coaches do well enough and the NFL starts calling, when that portal opens for those teams, then you're going to see another influx.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be wild. Yeah, 20-day portal window. Thank you, Topher. I appreciate that.
But I would say
It's short.
Everybody, if you want to go check out some other, really, really good content, check out Coach Dent's Gridiron Insight. He's been doing some good stuff. He started his own little podcast, and he's a good listen. So I'd recommend go listen to him.
Go check them out. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, 20 days. It's 30 days total now. So they dropped it from the 45 to 30, 20 initial, 20 in December, 10 in the spring. So honestly, I think the spring portal is probably going to be be busy again too. But I will tell you that the first one, the 20-day is going to be, and that's kind of what the coaches wanted. They wanted it shortened because it's a lot easier to get that knocked out after you do because early signing day is moved up from the end of December to the week of conference championship week. That's going to be able to make it to where you can solidify your class, which is what we do. Our goal is if you come here, we want you to early sign and potentially be an early enrollee. That's the goal. Get you in early so you can get trained. Yeah, it's going to be bananas. But OC wise, man, I don't have any beef with the idea of a Dan Mullen just because he has the experience in the conference and the landscape has shifted a little bit more to where offenses are a little bit better, but the defenses are still stout. Having someone that could be a CEO of the offense and actually be, someone people want to work with, to me, that's a good thing. I see that as a major plus.
Also with Dan Mullen, I do see an opportunity that would happen with that one would be you could bring hopefully somebody younger underneath him, and dudes. I mean, wherever he goes, if he gets a head coaching job, then I think he'll be there for a few years. But if he takes an OC job somewhere, I mean, like you said, it'll be 2 years, maybe 1 year to show that hey, I still got it, I can still do this, and maybe you can have somebody young underneath him that's learning, that has more ties to the program. But also with that, maybe he would take that person with him. So I'll walk back my statement. Screw Dan Mullen.
We'll see how that goes. All right. We will of course be around on Sunday after the game. I'll be there. I'm going to be walking around, so I'll be hanging out. So find me. It's a night game. I'm actually excited at the fact that we've got back-to-back night games. They really love us. Thomas asked a pretty interesting question. My question is, what players are leaving? OU will still stock up. Who's Arcade and Green? I have no clue. That's a tough one.
I would say that, I mean, maybe it's not as, but like if a Nick Anderson were to leave, I think that we're going to.
But I can see that.
I see. I mean, I see a world to where. I mean, listen. I see a world where Jackson and Hawkins both return. I see a world where they both leave. I see. I mean, I can see any scenario with those two guys. I don't know, younger offensive linemen. If we lose anybody who hasn't played a lot, I mean, typically it's probably they're going to go take a Texas State opportunity or something like that. I don't think we're going to lose any of our offensive linemen to a comparable program. Anybody on defense? I mean,
honestly don't believe anybody on defense is going to go either. Not that I could think of as far as someone that's young that we would that would just hurt us. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody leaving on defense.
Oh, maybe a Jaron Canick. Steven says Jaron Canick. Like that's a maybe just with Danny moving on.
Danny moving on, and the way that the linebacker room has grown, McCullough coming back healthy, and he's playing a lot. Expect him to be used a lot more. I can see with Kip and Kobe being played, and then Carter. I see Kip, Kobe, Lewis, Carter, and McCullough as really your base linebackers. But I know that Canick loves BV, so
I mean that's why he's here. He was the first. No, don't come here. I'm not recruiting you. And he said, piss on it. I'm coming anyway.
I'm not sure why everybody keeps saying Peyton Bowen. Peyton Bowen's been hurt. That's why he hasn't played. He's been injured. It's hard to play when you're not healthy.
He's having trouble. And Eli's
been
healthy.
Probably, yeah.
And Eli's probably starting the season, our number one cornerback. So
yeah, and Eli's starting next year. So once Peyton gets healthy, when he's healthy, he's playing. I think he starts at safety with Robert Spears Jennings next season because Billy's gone.
Yeah, and that's if if Robert Spears Jennings gets if he gets anything that would tickle his fancy from a draft grade perspective, don't be surprised if you don't see him head out too. I mean, if he gets a 3rd, 4th round draft grade, he might bounce.
That is a possibility. I think he comes back. I think they convince him to return, even though he's our highest grade defender. Gosh, he's been so good.
Yeah.
I can see him coming back. But Peyton has played almost 300 snaps so far.
Yeah, but Thomas's point is right. I mean, who is the guy that you just don't see coming? And I mean,
that's the tough one. That's why I'm.
It's just, I mean, you don't see it coming because, I mean, do we have anybody else whose dad's is suffering in his home state and he's...
You know what? You know what it would be? Gentry, as someone just mentioned. That will be... Is Eli better than Gentry? No, but if there's anyone, Gentry would be the one to probably be the biggest shock. And I could see him with him being injured like he has been. I could see possibly believing that he's been passed. I don't want him to go, but that's a shocker. That would probably be the biggest shocker. Yeah,
or you could say, there was rumors about him not being too happy about injury stuff, and it does he have that sour taste in his mouth? And so,
yeah. That's one. So Thomas, to your point, so the question, so with you, the start, I would have to think about a player that's playing out of position, that wants to play one position and is not playing in that position and then decides to leave because they're not in that position. That was the KD Green situation. Green wanted to be a left tackle.
Maybe Deshaun McCullough then. I mean, he's back in position this year.
Yeah, he's in position this year.
But maybe he got wandering eyes when he was battling back from the injury.
Right. Appreciate that UT Parking. I love the fact your name is UT Parking. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah,
we appreciate you putting up prayers up for BV. We do appreciate that because that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah,
Jacoby's interesting. I mean, he's an Oklahoma kid, so that'll be tough. I think his brothers are trying to find a way to get to Oklahoma as well. So I don't know. That is an intriguing one. It's hard.
Nobody wants to go play for Oklahoma State right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you think we're bad, go look at Oklahoma State. They can't even win non-conference games. They can't win anything. I don't think Jacoby leaves. Only Oklahoma kid I could see leaving is Gentry because he's had 2 years of dealing with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Yeah. That would suck too. Like, Gentry's my favorite. BTW.
I mean, I love Gentry. I love Gentry to death, yeah. And, I do think that we've got a couple guys who are dudes coming in, defensive back-wise, freshmen. So you might see another influx of youth coming through. But, yeah, I mean, Gentry would have to – I mean, he'd be a guy that I would say he would try probably – I mean, that might be like I guess he can't transfer in interconference.
No, you
Maybe
can. You can in the winter one. You can in the spring.
okay.
One.
So then maybe that's an Arkansas play. Maybe where it's like the pressure isn't as big. Granted, they're fired their coach just this year, so
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. I can't think of anybody else. I mean, because Devon Sears. Devon Jordan is supposed to be.
he's
He's supposed to be.
nobody out.
Him and Jeremiah Newcomb.
Yeah, nobody outworks. Yeah, nobody outworks him. Now, I don't like him back returning kicks and punts because the dude is like from the movie Signs, where Merle just swung away all the time. Like, dude just doesn't know how to call fair catch. Like, he's like, man, I got 5 yards of separation. I'm at the goal line.
got it.
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins.
Without realizing that these dudes are fast.
Yeah.
Don't do that to yourself. Please stop. Let's go. All right. We're going to wrap it up. We will see all of you all on Sunday. I'll have videos coming over the next few days as we talk about, the depth chart, how we feel about it. And Coop's going to do some, not only hunting, but children's sports, unfortunately, in November, right? Soccer games.
Last game's December 7th.
Mine. I think ours is December. Yeah, I think ours is December 7th, too. Gosh, that's going to be terrible. All right. Thank you for pulling up. Hit the like button. New to the channel, subscribe, rate us, review us, give us 5. As well as check out Prize Picks. They're hooking you up. You can play in Oklahoma, which is even more awesome. Use our code UNFAIR. Get $50 instantly in guaranteed bonuses. After you play your first $5 lineup, you ain't even got to win, but you'll get it. We'll chop it up with all of you later.
Peace.